from NBC Bay Area, family blames slow Oakland Police Department response after fatal shooting over stolen property. So, I mean, you are going to jump through hoops. These people are going to twist themselves into a pretzel to make sure that it's always the cops' fault. Pamela Price wants to blame the cops, reopening old cases.
According to an autopsy report, his death was caused by the toxic effects of methamphetamine, with the stress of the altercation, morbid obesity, and alcoholism contributing. Under the previous DA, Nancy O'Malley, an investigation cleared the officers. But under Price, an investigation was reopened in 2023.
There's also, of course, the BLM protesters who were paid out millions of dollars because they had to deal with the cops. This is completely crazy, right? I mean, you lambasted the cops for years. You said they were the problem. You wanted them defunded. You said they were all racist. And then the Oakland mayor decided that the chief of police was not doing a good job because he was caught up in some police misconduct. But they don't want to talk about the misconduct of the criminals all over Oakland. But my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot, and it would cost you nothing. But if you wanted to help me even more and spend a little bit of money, go ahead and buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description. They also say, an Oakland grandmother says her former son-in-law killed in an armed confrontation over her stolen property might be alive if Oakland police officers responded to more than a dozen calls the family made as they tracked their pilfered devices across the city. So it's common knowledge that 911 doesn't work. It's common knowledge that they are looking for people. It is common knowledge that they got rid of the chief of police, and now you want to blame them for the criminals that stole your stuff and then eliminated your son-in-law, and it's the cops' fault? I mean, sure, nobody's perfect, but give me a break. That's where you're going to lay the blame?
911 in Oakland. A woman's car was stolen and hours go by with no police response. Eventually, family members take matters into their own hands and then
And I have been tracking the OPD Twitter account for many months now, and they just repost the same 6 or 8 images over and over and over again. They tell you when to call 911, only when it's serious, because we can't be at all the calls. We're also hiring, and we're also looking into a racist tweet from 12 years ago from a woman who wasn't even an Oakland Police Department officer at the time.
We're going to do every single thing that we can to get to the bottom of this. We have to have people here at the Oakland Police Department that love Oakland, that care about the community. We cannot have people here who hold racist, hateful views serving our community. And so we give the community our word that we're going to do everything that we can and look deep into our practices to make sure that wherever the gaps are, that they get fixed, and they get fixed immediately.
Right? I mean, you can't be surprised. Oh, this is the police fault. Okay, look, I digress. I don't want to keep stopping this every 10 seconds, but it is just beyond the scope of reality.
things turned deadly.
In an NBC Bay Area exclusive, our Candace Wynn investigates a case where police are accused of botching a call for help.
This family says they made more than a dozen calls to police as they tracked their stolen property across Oakland. Now their loved one has been killed, and they say he...
What did you expect? Police officers have been killed. Businesses have been ransacked. There's the pizza restaurant that got hit once every week for at least a month. I mean, it's happening all over the place. But, oh, no, they need to look out for us. No, this is what you wanted. Now, I don't know how this lady's politics. I don't know. But you are part of this regime, and that's why I've said there's no way to do business. There's the other story from Contra Costa County, more than an hour outside of Oakland or San Francisco, where the people, it may have been an inside job, whatever, but they were trying to make a bank deposit and they got robbed. I mean, there is no chance. You cannot do business there anymore. It is over. This is proof. And this lady wants to blame it on the police officers, right?
I'm losing my patience.
You guys are hoping for this utopia. This lady doesn't know what's going on. She probably, just like a lot of the other ones, you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Want a payday.
would still be alive today if police had shown up like they said they would.
It was just before 8 p.m. on D Street in East Oakland.
Yep.
Tara Hutchinson says she got out of her rental car to open a gate when someone jumped into the driver's seat and took off her purse, devices, and tax.
Yeah, well, I don't know why she was in a rental car if she lives in that house, but it is also common knowledge that rental cars are targets.
Documents inside. She asked a neighbor for help. He was the first to call 911.
Yeah, somebody just stole a lady's car right out here in front of my house.
Then we called my daughter, and my daughter said, hey, I have your iPad. The kids kind of start playing on the iPad, and they're like, hey, Grandma, we see your items moving. I'd already told the police I could track the devices on the phone.
We have officers en route to you, okay?
Watching the devices move on their Find My iPhone app, the family says they...
Now, I'm not gonna blame this family. I'm sure there's plenty of blame to go around. Now, of course, they're going to blame the cops, but I have said several times that they have admitted that 911 doesn't really work, so don't call it. We're not going to help you. I mean, if somebody pulls a gun at you at the ATM, just give them your money, right? But when 911 doesn't work, that is going to create an entirely new class of crimes. Now people are going to set up, fake thefts and all sorts of stuff because they know it's not going to get reported. So they can claim insurance fraud or something and, oh, well, we tried to call the cops, but it doesn't really work. Now, that's a little bit of a different story. But, it's all collapsing.
Followed along to report their location to police.
Where's it at right now? 88th Street. 88th Street.
We'll send a police officer out to meet with you over there.
According to the 911 recordings, dispatchers told Tara that officers were on the way at least 3 times. As the clock rolled...
Oh, the police officers lied. That is more offensive than the person who stole my stuff and later shot my son-in-law.
Past 10 p.m., 2.5 hours after she first called, police still hadn't shown up.
How many times did you call police, you think? At least 12, 13. At least 12 or 13 times.
We'll get somebody over there to you, okay?
Tara, her daughter, and granddaughters eventually followed the devices to a home near 102nd Avenue and International. That's when Tara's former son-in-law, Charles Calloway, and his cousin David Washington got involved. Tired of waiting on police, Tara says the men took matters into their own hands, confronting a person nearby who they believed had Tara's phone.
I heard a gunshot.
Surveillance video shows the person they confronted pull up to the home yelling. The people in the home tell us they had nothing to do with the theft and the woman was trying to sell them Tara's phone. Next, Charles and David go to the home. According to the police report, they were armed. Then, more gunshots. Inside this time.
No, I need help.
So I run in, and initially the guy pulls the gun out on me where I can see Charles laying on the ground. And so I'm explaining to him, this is my husband, kid's father. I'm just trying to make sure he's okay.
Okay, so what's the solution? Are you asking for more cops? Are you going to treat them with a little bit more respect? Or I could also venture a guess that a large majority of the cops in Oakland are black. So are you going to reverse that stance? Now, maybe by some slim chance they weren't part of this weirdo faction that wanted to get rid of police. I highly doubt it. It's the same thing with the ACLU lawyer who, I work in criminal justice. And then her house gets pierced with bullets. She's like, I think this is still a good idea.
ACLU attorney Alyssa Victoria says she's thankful for another day of life after a bullet went through 2 walls of her home last night while she and her family were inside. Victory posted photos of the aftermath on X. She tells KTVU this happened during a shootout just outside of her East Oakland home around 10:30 on Friday night. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Victory tells us that incidents like this are part of what inspired her to pursue a career in criminal justice law.
Right? I mean, the cognitive dissonance is through the roof, and I'm not sure, we shall see, but I don't think they're going to touch on that at all. They're just going to say, well, this is the fault of the police.
Mercedes stayed with Charles until he died. Her voice, the last thing he heard.
And look, without being incredibly judgmental, dog, you kind of got the vibe of maybe a little bit of a troublemaker, as does the daughter, the granddaughter, whatever.
I love you. I appreciate everything you've done for us.
Look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be making fun of this lady, but like, for you guys to blame the police officers for a murderous Oakland thug who stole your stuff and eliminated your ex-baby daddy or whatever, it's just not the cops' fault, right? If the cops had come in and tried to stop a murder, then you would say, oh, that was excessive force. It just doesn't matter. You can't win. Same thing with, this is apples to oranges, of course, but Caitlin Clark's all over the news. I tried to ignore it. I don't really care. I mean, I barely care about regular basketball. Women's basketball is a completely different story. But they're pushing this nonstop Caitlin Clark. And then, oh, she's only making a fraction of Victor Wembanyama, even though she's only a fraction of the height of Victor Wembanyama, and I've never seen her dunk a basketball. So she's not making enough money because she's a woman, but she's also making too much money because Nike gave her a shoe and she's a white woman. Now that's a completely different point, but the game is rigged. You can't win, right? Same thing with Daniel Penny, right? If you try to stand up and protect some people in the train, then they're going to throw the book at you. So if the cops would have shown up and eliminated the guy who stole your stuff, then you would have blamed them for that.
Court records shed more light on the shooting, but the family says they don't mention the stolen car or that Charles and David were trying to get Tara's property back. The police report says Charles and David forcefully entered the rear door of the residence with the intent to commit a residential robbery. The men exchanged gunfire with the homeowner, and someone in the home shot and killed Charles.
If police had responded right away to some of your first time.
Well, that's interesting. It looks like there's another piece to this puzzle, and I did mention that the guy kind of looks like a little bit of a troublemaker, and obviously the cops have one side of the story, and this lady has another side of the story, but it's not even going to matter, right? Because facts be damned, whatever this lady says is right, and the cops are always wrong.
111 calls.
Charles would be alive if the police had responded at all.
Even though a person in the home killed
Charles would be alive if the police had responded. And if the police had responded and eliminated the man who took out Charles, that would also be a problem. That's the point.
Charles, his cousin is facing a homicide charge because he's accused of committing a felony, the home invasion, that led to someone being killed. That cousin has pled not guilty.
Wait, that's a whole different ballgame. The story is about, some innocent men who tried to retrieve an old lady's phone were shot and eliminated. And then there's there's an iceberg under the entire thing about a home invasion. And there's criminals all over the place. Maybe you should have put that in the headline.
But Mercedes and her mom want the people inside the home to be held accountable. And they want police to understand this is what happens when officers don't respond.
Yeah, we ran up in their house. They took the liberty to eliminate us, and they should have just let us do it. And the cops should have shown up and helped us. But of course, if the cops would have helped us too much, then they would still be at fault. Okay.
And that's why people are taking matters into their own hands, because they're not getting assistance.
The investigative unit sent Oakland police.
That is correct. And that's how it's going to be. That's what you wanted for years. And Shangtao worked with the regime to usher in this lawlessness, and there's no chief of police, and we're going to do community policing, and they're going to call everything except for more police. They're going to say, we're going to hire a mocha crew, some outreach crew that's going to get down on their hands and knees and talk to junkies in a tent, self-vaccinating under the overpass. I mean, this is just completely ridiculous, right? I mean, am I tripping? Am I the one that I'm just not on board with how insane this entire thing has become?
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
asked this full-page list of questions about their response time and the stolen car, but they declined to comment, saying this is an open investigation. The 911 recordings do show dispatchers warned Tara and Mercedes not to confront the alleged thieves themselves.
Why did you reach out to us?
Because I think people need to know.
I reached out to you because I knew you were going to do the bidding of the regime, and I could just play the race card here and ignore all of the underlying facts about this case. And I knew you were going to go to bat for me for clicks, and I guess they win because here I am watching it and screaming about it.
What really happened? Charles was my son.
What really happened? I don't think you want that to come out. I don't know what really happened, but I highly doubt you want people to know what really happened. I don't think that's true.
I actually asked Charles not to come. I didn't want him to come.
Tara and Mercedes aren't the only ones waiting a long time for police to show up. Monthly average response times for priority 2 calls in Oakland, for instance, stolen cars, went from about 2.5 hours several years ago to more than 6 hours last year. With the investigative unit, I'm Candace Wen.
Okay, yeah. So it's all completely fake. This lady reached out to the fake news NBC crime reporter because she was going to allow her to amplify her side of the story without letting anybody else know what was actually going on.